Oh. Hey, we have two people here. That's good. I'm trying to get the YouTube app to run here because I was hoping to watch some critical videos from YouTube that we might feature in This Week in Video Games blogging, or that we might have featured in the past. But when I play this, it sounds terrifying. So I think that might not be working. I don't think Bob Whittaker normally sounds like this. So I'm just going to be looking around for a little bit at what to do next and figuring things out. Any requests for like videos we might play if I can get that working, or web games that I could play and screen share, that kind of thing. If you put those in the chat, would be super helpful. Thank you. Nope. Oh, now we're down to one. Instead of getting requests of stuff to do. Cool. So a big part of what I want to talk about today in this live stream is the importance of critical thinking about media, why it's important now, and what critical distance does to help with that. So the first is that, and there was just a little bit more news in my Facebook feed about this. Because of higher education being under siege the way that it is, it's more important than ever to have free, publicly available educational resources. Now, we normally think of that as being things that teach people practical skills, like learning how to code. And I don't want to valuable. But what happens when we end up really focused just on how to do things and not why is that we end up carelessly building things that don't actually solve any of the problems that need to be solved in the most intelligent way, or that miss problems that are kind of maybe more subtle. So one thing I really want to see is more acknowledgement that like reasoning is something that should be available to everybody, rather than this sort of elitist thing that like, well, if you went to like a big elite university and did a liberal arts course, then of course you get to analyze media and you get to like think with that critical distance about what you're encountering, but everyone else just takes things at face value. It shouldn't be that way. It doesn't need to be that way. And the kind of approaches to media that we foreground a critical distance should be available to everybody. And so I think that's part of what we're sort of fighting against, like this idea that media criticism just belongs to like a tiny, tiny group of people, rather than being something that everybody is involved with. and then of course the other part of this is there we go, that's better. The other part of this is that sense that and this, particularly I'm thinking about this with regard to a story that came out this morning, interviewing a guy who runs a fake news website, and he's kind of horrified that he may have brought about the election of Trump. But oh God, I don't know. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I just know that Republican voters are less likely to check things. Now that's his opinion. Like, he doesn't actually know what people are doing when they visit his website necessarily. But this idea that a lack of checking is having a major impact on the world right now. And I think it goes further than that. I think it's not just, we can't, like, people aren't, something is true after they read it. There's also a kind of lack of reflection on what would it mean if this was true? Why is this being written the way that it is? Who is this for? What's at stake when someone writes something like this? And that's the kind of thing that needs to be applied not just to sort of journalistic articles that you read, but to any kind of media that you encounter. Why are characters being portrayed the way that they are in a TV show? That step beyond kind of the numbers game of like not so few characters with a particular identity, but what's happening when we portray someone not being interested in romantic or sexual relationships, but not identifying as asexual. Like, what effect does that have on the viewer? What does that suggest about the character themselves and about the world that we live in? And all kinds of representational issues. I chose that one because it's less discussed. But that's sort of what we're encouraging at Critical Distance with regard to games. And also something that's more developed, but not just as necessary in other forms of media as well. So what I've been hoping with this stream is ring up some indie game developers to talk about their work. We had one person, it wasn't available to, in the end, to do this right away. So I've got someone else lined up for 1:30. But if anyone viewing this wants to come and talk about their work, and we can have a chat about what kind of design considerations go into what you're doing and how you come to better understand the kind of design issues that you need to be facing as a game developer. Anyone is welcome. And I would love to do that. So again, like, there's a group chat thing just in the side here that you might be able to contribute to. I think you can. And I would love it if you would just pipe up there, and then I can see if I can add you to the call. Now, I need to figure out how to embed this in the Critical Distance fundraiser page. So I'm going to go quiet for a little while. This is the kind of thing I was hoping to do while a YouTube video is playing, but no such luck. So I'll just be quiet for a few seconds. Sorry about that. Okay, that's working now. Awesome. So the Critical Distance fundraiser page I've just put into the chat. That's the page to share, not just now, but like throughout this campaign. That's the page where I'm collecting together live streams as they happen are embedded at the top. Live streams that have happened are immediately underneath in the archive section, so that you can go back and watch something that's already happened. Below that, there is, and in fact, I'm going to screen share so I can show you this. That'll do it. Okay. So at the top, there's me with a funny expression because this is where the live stream is embedded. We have archives of previous live streams that have happened. Last night we had a live stream from Dante Douglas and Armour and a bunch of their friends. Good time. They were playing some co-op games and talking about the kind of design peculiarities of the games that they were playing and how they're rooted in the kind of recent history of indie game development and distribution. Here's the schedule of live streams to come. It's actually longer than that. There's a bunch more. We're still sorting out some of the details, but we've got a bunch of people from the Critical Distance community who are going to be hosting streams over the next month. And we can add some more to this as well if hosting a stream is something you'd be interested in as part of how you support this fundraising campaign. This is the link that leads to the Patreon page. And here's some information about kind of the goals that we're aiming for and the rewards that we're offering in return. So, pardon me. The big change to the rewards is that we have a temporary special seasonal reward where we're going to be creating e-cards that include links to articles that we've archived at Critical Distance over the past 7 years. So the idea is that this is kind of like giving someone a vintage greetings card. Like if you go to a fair that sells old stuff, you can get those vintage cards, and that's a really nice, unique gift to give someone. This works a little differently, where the card itself is contemporary, but it actually contains within it a piece of games history. So I think that makes a really awesome gift for someone, especially someone who lives kind of across the world. It's hard to send them something physical. You can send them something digital that really speaks to their interest in games and history. But we've also expanded our rewards to include some higher tier stuff where you get personal support from Critical Distance to help you develop as a creator or a writer or a critic or what have you. So that's definitely something to check out if you've been considering supporting us. And then new goals. We had our existing goal of 1,300. We were unfortunately having to kind of survive underneath that minimum funding level for several months this year. And it's been really great to finally get back above water on that. And thanks to everyone who took us over that threshold over the past couple of days. Right now we're aiming for our next target of 1,900. And at that target, we're going to be able to bring back This Month in Let's Plays and hopefully run that a little differently. This Month in Let's Plays used to be a wall of text list of links, basically, but with some embedded videos in it. This month, the Week in Video Games blogging roundups used to be. And in general, I've been trying to make our content more readable and less like a big wall of text. And so this month in Let's Plays, I'm hoping to update that so that it's either a video compilation with kind of clips from other people's videos to showcase what they're doing and like link out to them, or some sort of like semi-interactive feature where you get to look through the videos like in a window that's like much more, I need to put that down, in a window that's much more kind of suited to looking at that kind of content. And then we'll also be bringing back the Critical Discourse letter series, which is a much more direct way of putting critical writers in conversation with each other and encouraging something that's a little bit closer to being a community. those traditional community management techniques like running a forum and what have you that don't really suit the way that we're set up. And the letter series is also more public facing, and it allows people to follow a conversation without having to be like super in-depth connected to a community in order to understand what's going on. Our ultimate goal for this fundraising campaign is to hit $3,000. And at 3,000, what we add is a monthly short video on the critical trend of that month's writing. It's going to be so important for us to start doing, because so much more critical games blogging is happening through the medium of video now, that I think it's important that we start creating video too. And this will provide a overview of a particular issue that's kind of come up in the past month. And I think that's going to really increase our audience and allow us to basically bring that kind of educational work that we're doing to a much bigger audience. So I'd really, really like to see this happen. Another thing is that we would like to start doing a monthly feature on non-English language games blogging. So the idea of that would be that a few of us who speak a bunch of languages other than English collaborate on curating games blogging that's happening in languages other than English, and then bring it all together with translated short excerpts, so that there's more dialogue going on between the English dominant bit of the internet and these other internets that we kind of don't get to interact with very much. People who don't write in English can still get their work known and put out there, and can get some recognition for the ideas that they've been sharing. And then the rest of this page features some news and assets that would be really helpful for anyone who's considering blogging about our fundraising campaign. There's a lot of different sort of leads that you can take on this. I would love to help you with that. Just reach out and talk to me about it. If you're looking for a way to kind of make this work for your audience, getting the word out there about this campaign is really important for our success, and also for the success of these sorts of public education efforts that are going to do our little bit to improve critical thinking world in general. So I'm going to stop screen sharing. We're just a few minutes away from inviting in Randy O'Connor to talk about some of his recent work, which is really, he does a lot of personal small games that involve a lot of dialogue with other media, such as poetry, and kind of really questions about how do we respond to our lives and to the world around us that are themselves kind of critical. And Randy's a good friend of mine, and I really enjoy talking with him. So I think it's going to be a really lovely chat. So that's worth sticking around for another few minutes. Awesome. So thanks to everyone who has been retweeting the link to this stream. I really appreciate it. I'm going to have another go at this YouTube app and see if it works better with a different video, or if it's just magically working better now. That's horrifying. All right. Yeah, that didn't work. Sorry about that. Now I'm gonna try and invite in Randy O'Connor. Invite. Hey, it worked. You're here.
Howdy. How's it going?
Hey, oh, it's going well for me, but your sound is really weird. In the same way that the YouTube was weird.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's not promising.
Okay. Whoa. All right.
I have no idea what to do. I'm having to do this on like a low-end computer because I couldn't do this somewhere where my desktop is set up. So that means I have to use Hangouts on Air, which Google doesn't support anymore, and that might be why none of this is working properly.
Is this
It's
better?
Weird because like a normal Hangout wouldn't sound like this.
Is this better?
No. I think I have to give up, you know.
Ugh. No.
Oh, so the chat on YouTube works, but not here. So that's the answer to that, at least. Yeah, this isn't going to work. I think I need to just quit. God, that's frustrating. All right, we will reconvene, and I will make this happen another time on another computer.
Okay.
All right. Thanks so much for agreeing to do this.
Yeah. You want it?
Okay. Bye.
Okay.